Story time on the worst job I have ever worked. I got this job when I was, I believe, a junior in high school because I had this for like that little transitional period before I went to college. And the way I got this job was actually pretty funny. It was a restaurant. It sold like acai bowls, poke bowls, just a lot of like fancy, cute little trendy things like that. I walked in because I was actually going through like a little bit of a heartbreak and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go treat myself to an acai bowl. I deserve it. So I walked in there and the manager was interviewing someone. I was eating my little bowl and she was behind and she was talking about how she's not going to hire this person because they had zero availability and she really needed someone from like the time period that this was. I think this was like April. And then she's like, yeah, I need somebody going into the summer. So after the dude left, I turned around and I was like, I'm available. Sorry to eavesdrop, but can I interview? And then she hired me on the spot. Off the bat, on my first day, I can tell that everything was pretty scrambled. I'm pretty sure what happened was the associate, so like the position that I was going to start working, didn't show up and it was like insanely busy. So the owner was making bowls, fulfilling orders. I was thrown into the whole mix, had zero training. I just kind of had to like model what my boss and what the owner were doing. I'm a very hard worker. Obviously, my work ethic was showing, and me being like 16 or 17, just poked myself in the eye. Me being that young at the time and showing that I wanted to work and that I had a really good work ethic obviously rubbed off really well on my boss. Fast forward to when I went away to college, I obviously didn't work there when I left for school since I was now like almost 4 hours away. So this was like my summer job or like my gig that I would have when I would go back and forth. My freshman year of college, COVID hit. And when I was home, I was actually insanely bored. I barely had any classes. Nobody knew what was going on. And around April, May 2020, my boss hits me up and is like, hey, we are authorized to open. Would you like to come back to work? Now, this time period is where I worked for a year and a half straight, no breaks, because my sophomore year of college, I did it online, so I was working. My boss was someone who was very, I would say, scrambled. She had a lot going on, and like if things weren't really necessarily working, you can tell that she would get stressed and she would kind of almost take it out on the employees. So like if we got really, really busy, she would essentially have me man the front room, and then the back room is where she would do the poke bowls. So I would handle the customers in the store and she would do the poke bowls in the back. And sometimes I would try to go back there and help her and she would be like, no, like go back on the front. It was just not really a good organized system. I noticed the way that she would talk to me and I was just like, all right, she's stressed in the moment. It must just be that. But then it kind of just started spilling over into like how she generally was. And I was like, Whenever I would work, it would just be me and her, or me and another manager. And after I'd been there for some time, I was asking for a promotion. She said no because I couldn't handle it, which I very much could. I knew all the back of house things. I would help out the other manager when she wasn't around. So that made me feel like I wasn't good enough, and I didn't like that. At one point, we got a new system, and all of us had to come in after hours to learn how to use the system. And I was ringing up a customer, and the customers that came into this job, oh my God, they were next level, like entitled, next level, terrible customers. And I'm the kind of person that would not let people talk to me a certain way. So my boss would overhear me like snapping back at people because who are you to talk to me like that? And she would walk over, kind of like basically verbally pet them and like make me look stupid. So for example, I was once ringing out a customer and they got Nutella as one of their premium toppings and I was putting it in and he wanted it put in a certain way where like it wasn't the full dollar, it was like an extra 50 cents. Kind of hard to explain, but there was like a certain way that you could bypass it. And my boss would do that for him because basically any money that came in through the doors, she would accept. And my boss was the kind of person that would accept any and all money that walked through the door, no matter how to accommodate them. And like, if it made me look stupid, she wouldn't care as long as they are spending money there, which in my opinion, that's not a good manager. You are demeaning your employees and just accepting money over the people that work there. So this guy's throwing a fit because I'm ringing it up the way that I was taught. I was putting it in as a premium topping and instead my boss put it in as one of the 3 included toppings, so he wasn't paying the full dollar extra. And the customer looks at me and he's like, see, I told you I was right. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I looked at him and I'm like, well, typically this isn't how we do it. And my boss is like, it's okay. We just got a new system. She's still learning. And I'm like, and then the guy looks at me, he goes, are you new? And I'm like, no, I've actually been here for like 2.5 years. My boss is like, it's okay. It's okay. We got a new system. I'm like, no, it's not okay. Why are you making me look stupid in front of this guy and letting him get his way? Side note, I ended up becoming a manager at retail locations like way after this. And I was never this kind of manager to demean my associates in front of the customer. So thank you to my ex-boss at this restaurant that taught me not to do this. There was a lot of situations like this and I would always talk back to the customers. I will 100% be honest that I was definitely not the best employee when it comes to customer service. Like, yes, my work ethic was there, but at this place, the customers that would walk in and they would just like demand things, I was like, absolutely not. You are not going to talk to me like that. And people started to pick up on it. My other employees, the other managers that worked there, like we were semi-friends, but then towards the end it fell apart and I'll get to that. But they would also be like, no, like your face definitely shows like when you're pissed off, because I definitely have a face that like has gotten me in trouble a couple of times. Like if you walk in the store and like you give me an attitude, I'm gonna look at you like this and be like, I can't hide my emotions. During the fall semester, so like fall 2020, like September, August, that is when I started my online classes. I had to get out of there at like 2 on the dot. The morning shift usually ended at 2 and my class was at like 2:30 and I had to walk home because I didn't have a car at the time. And then knowing that I need to get home and get to my class, my boss would be like, oh, just before you leave, take out all the trashes. And she would just pile on extra tasks to like make me be late for my classes. And when I would express and be like, I need to go, she'd be like, well, you're not done with your shift duties, even though she would let the other employees kind of slack off and leave it for the next person to come in, but she would only have me do it, if that makes sense. So there was like basically her singling me out, knowing that like it was pissing me off, and I'm like, girl, you need to relax. She would give us these like little shift tasks, so like scrubbing the floor with a toothbrush, like using a drill to like clean out certain spots of the store, and then if we didn't finish that because it was busy, she would like get upset with us. One time she had me like underneath all the cabinets, literally scrubbing them with like a drill toothbrush, and she'd be like, Juliet, hello, there's customers. So not only was I dealing with all the customers, I was also dealing with her random tasks that she would give me. She would also set up all the employees against one another. She would have these competitions. So like, for example, like a loyalty competition. Whoever gets the most rewards point signups would get like $100 Venmo to them at the end of the month or something like that. So I was determined to win because at the time I was dating someone that was at my school. So I wanted to go and save up some money to go see him. I ended up winning like the first competition, and my boss would set up me and the employees against one another. So like whenever I would start getting points, she would start egging on the other people to try and beat me. And like, it was just like this basically an unhealthy competition. Like you're setting up your employees against one another just to like benefit the business. The owner would also come in all the time, and we had frozen food that we had for smoothies. I really did not like this owner. He would come in and like use all the fresh cut fruit that we had spent hours cutting for his smoothies instead of the frozen stuff, and he would just basically make himself seem like he's entitled just because he owns the place. I get it, you own the place, but like be respectful. If anything ever like went wrong, my boss would always just go and investigate and make things so much worse than they genuinely actually were. Like one time somebody cut up the mangoes incorrectly, and then she came over and she's like, you were the last person, according to my investigation, who cut the mangoes like this. And I'm like, I was training someone, like we did them together. I don't really see what the issue is. And then she would like make it a whole big deal and be like, well, you need to be a little bit more mindful about the mangoes. Girl, they're mangoes, relax. What made this place so stressful and so terrible is I would ask my boss multiple times, like, can we add a second person? Because when you're in the back making all the poke bowls, I'm dealing in the front with all the customers, DoorDash, Uber, Grubhub, you name it, all of them are in my face. And it was insanely stressful. I would tell her all the time, and then she added like a person here and there, which was semi-helpful, but like the store was always a mess. I was always stressed out. Customers were always yelling at me. I was like, I feel like I'm literally being paid to like argue with people. And then she would come out, make the situation in the customer's favor. I would look stupid, and then this person would come back because they knew that she would accommodate them, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is so annoying. She was notorious for sending out gift cards to people's addresses, so we had like a list of addresses that like we would mail literal gift cards to in case we like messed up, and people started abusing the system. So when I finally reported it to her, I was like, yeah, this woman came in and like I overheard her talking to her husband saying like, oh yeah, if they mess up or like if you complain, they'll send you a gift card, so that's how I get all my free money here. And I was like, so I told my boss about this, and she basically praised them for that, and I was like, you are so crazy. What really bothered me is towards the end when I announced that I was leaving because I was finally moving up into my college town, I had like a couple of weeks left and we had another one of those competitions set up. My boss was so obsessed with reviews. So if we got like a bad Google review or like a bad Yelp review, she basically always blamed it on me. Like one time I was in Vegas and I literally was blamed for a bad review because there was 2 blonde girls that worked there, me and another girl. The review was about that girl because I was in Las Vegas. And my boss was like, oh, well, this review has to be about you. And I'm like, no, the timestamp is when I was in Vegas. And she's like, well, I'm just saying you need to be nicer to customers. And I'm like, this wasn't even about me. I wasn't even there. Basically, whoever got the most reviews and had their name mentioned in the review would get like $100. And I was like, I need $100. I'm moving. So I remember the competition was exactly like 7 days long. And on the 6th day, my boss announced, okay, Juliet won. And I was like, oh, slay. Interesting that she ended it early, but it was obvious that I was winning by a landslide. What happened was the other staff went behind my back and started commenting for a different manager to win. And when I expressed that I was upset, my boss laughed in my face and was like, oh, just kidding. Actually, this manager won because the staff voted for him. And I was like, how on earth is that fair? So essentially this manager announced early that I won and then laughed in my face when the entire staff turned against me. Just having a boss that wasn't on your side was extremely frustrating, and then having the staff turn on you and laugh in your face was also really hard. I genuinely will probably have to make a second part on like how the customers were at this place because they were just next level nuts. I will also never go back to food service ever again.
I want to know what you would do in this situation. So say if you introduce one of your friends to another group of your friends that they don't know, that they're only meeting through you introduce them, you got a night out or whatever it is, whatever the situation is, this one friend of yours meets your other friend or your other group of friends. Is it okay for these people to exchange numbers, to make plans, to become friends themselves? Or should they only really communicate through you? Should there be some boundaries there? I want to know what you think. Me personally, I feel like as adults, I should be able to do what the fuck I want to do, but I've got boundaries. So in that situation, if you introduce me to other friends of yours, yeah, sure, have a good time. If we've gotten really well, sure, we might, follow each other on Instagram or something like that. But I'm aware I have met these friends or this friend through you as my friend. So I know the boundary there. I'm not then gonna call up these friends or make plans with your friends without you. That doesn't make sense because you're my friend. These are your friends that I may then become friends with over time. However, I'm fully aware that you are the person that's introduced us and these are your friends, and I've got boundaries there because I care about your feelings. I am not about to exchange numbers with these people and make plans with your friends without telling you or without you being there. Like, if you want to invite me out again with your friends, that's up to you because you're the friend that has introduced us. That's how I feel about it. So if I introduce one friend to this other friend or to these other friends, sure, get to know each other, have a good time, follow each other on Instagram, whatever you want to do. However, your loyalties lie with me because I've introduced you. And I'm not talking about like acquaintances. I'm talking about good friends. And I feel like because I have those boundaries in place and I have that respect for my friends and their feelings, I expect that back. That's how I feel. Let me know what you think in the comments because this has actually happened to me. I was a lot younger, so I was very naive to people's intentions. But in this place where I worked, this one girl was like, what are you doing for your birthday? What are you doing for your birthday? And I was like, I'm just going to meet up with some of my friends from uni, whatever. She just kept asking and then invited herself along. And I felt bad. So I was like, yeah, sure, this is where we're going to meet up, like come, whatever, right? I felt bad because she was just being so friendly. And you know what? Things like this is what gives you life experience. So I'm not even mad at the situation for happening because it made me wiser and made me have boundaries in place. But anyway, this friend or work colleague rather comes along to this social gathering I have with my friends, with my uni friends, and they've invited a few more other people. So it's kind of a big gathering. A lot of people have come. Some of them are my really good friends. Some of them are friends of friends. At this gathering, we're all eating. We're sitting on different tables at this restaurant. We're eating. She doesn't sit next to me. She goes just throws herself into this social situation, starts making friends with everyone, doesn't spend any time with me. And after the restaurant, we went out somewhere else to this sort of like games arcade or whatever, and we were all having fun there. She just latched on to my friends, the boys in particular, but she really latched on to my friends. I was like, excuse me? You haven't spent any time with me. I've invited you out and you've just latched on to these people that you do not know. These are strangers to you. At one point, she was sitting in the lap of one of my guy friends. So she just went and sat in his lap. And I was like, this is just so bizarre. And maybe because I'm a little bit more reserved in social situations where I don't know people, I found this behavior very odd. But then I called up one of my other friends who works with us. So he knows this girl because we all work in the same place. It was a part-time job we had at the time. And I told him like, this is what she's doing. And he was laughing. He was laughing on the phone. He's like, this is what she's like you should have known. I don't know why you invited her out. I was like, I felt bad. Like she was just being so friendly and so nice. And she kind of invited herself along and I didn't have the heart to say no. So it was a lesson learned. That was a bit of an extreme situation, but I want to know what you would do. Two friends you introduce, is it okay for them to become besties and not include you in future plans and just be close and have the inside jokes without you? I feel like that's completely inappropriate, out of line, and these people don't know how to act. That's how I feel. But you know what? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Good morning, guys. Let's talk about everything that happens at my private school that would drive public school kids insane. Just want to put it out there that I am no way, shape, or form hating on public schools at all. I'm just sharing what happens at my private school. So I have never gone to public school. I have gone to a private Catholic school all my life. So first, you have to wear a uniform every single day unless it's a spirit wear day, but we will get to those. For girls, skirts, it can only be 2 inches above the kneecap. And guys have to wear khaki pants, they can't wear shorts. You will get a write-up if you do have your skirt rolled or it's too short, but I feel like they're more chill about that. I haven't gotten written up or anything, and mine's definitely too short. Days that we have all school mass, we have a specific uniform that we have to wear. You have to wear a white button-down shirt with your blazer, and it's a school blazer, so it's $100, and it has to be that exact type too. It might even be a little more. Your shirts always have to be tucked in, or you could get written up for that too. You also have to wear Sperry's unless you get a doctor's note saying you can wear other shoes like sports tennis shoes. Only girls are allowed to have piercings in their ears, and you're only allowed to have ear piercings, and you're only allowed one, but boys aren't allowed piercings. You also can't have dyed hair unless it's a natural dyed color. You can't have red, pink, or blue or anything like that. If you're late to school even by a minute, you get a detention. It's like an in-school detention though, because you have to like go to this like auditorium place for the whole first period. And you're not allowed to do anything in it. Like you're not allowed to have your phone, you're not allowed to do your homework, and they said they might make you like clean the auditorium. Also, if you're out of uniform in first period, you also get the detention and they send you there, and it's called sweep. Also, guys aren't allowed to have long hair. Like if it touches your collar, it's too long, so they can only have short hair. On spirit wear days / like dress down days, you can't wear whatever you want. You have to wear something that says like the school logo on it. You also have to pay $5 to do that as well. Seniors get this thing where every Friday you get to wear a hoodie. You still have to wear like the school like skirt or shorts though. I meant pants. But it can't be any normal hoodie, like it has to be a school hoodie, and you have to pay $1 for that too, even though it is called senior privilege. Also, when we have like spirit week for like the homecoming week, you're not allowed to wear leggings ever. Like shorts have to be longer than your fingertips. And obviously you can't wear tank tops or crop tops or wear jeans that have holes in them. Also, because of an incident that happened last year, like 2 years ago in the family bathroom, I feel like you can put 2 to 2 together. We have phone jail. Like every class has like a thing on the door where there's like numbers and you have to put your phone in. Also, if you want to go to the bathroom or anything, you only have 5 passes a day, and they know that because you have like a smart pass thing, so you have to like do it online. And like if you want to go get water and go to the bathroom, that counts as 2 passes and you only get 5 a day. It also gives you a timer too, like you can only go to the bathroom for 5 minutes. You're also not allowed to bring your phones to the bathrooms with you. Like you have to show the teacher, like put it on the desk to show that like you're not bringing your phone to the bathroom because of that incident. You have to pay for parking. I'm pretty sure it's like $75 or $100, and then you also had to pay to paint your parking spot. Also, like everyone drives to school, like only freshmen take the bus or you get like a ride from someone else. Not saying all, but most people drive like really nice cars or like brand new cars. Like our parking lot's full of Mercedes, BMWs, Alfa Romeos, Audis, like things like that. You also have to do 25 hours of service a year, or like it's a graduation requirement. If you don't do it, you're not graduating. But yeah, that's private school for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
This is why me and my best friend are actually no longer best friends. It started off as a joke, but it's not anymore. Honestly, you could just go watch our dance account most recent video and that will explain it. But for those of you that want the full story, I'll give it. Never had this flavor before. I mean, it wasn't like completely fake. Like I was definitely like angry and stuff, but we were just gonna kind of get over it so we could film videos together. So we were making that Doc McStuffins freaking dance video yesterday, and I kind of thought it would be funny to like push her. And I didn't even push her that hard. It only looks like that because she's like so skinny and petite that she literally was like flying through the air like a speck of dust. It's like that might sound like a joke when I'm saying that, but no, I'm like actually serious. And that's not even me trying to like compliment her. Like that's literally just me pointing out the obvious. Just so you guys can get your facts straight, because I would never hurt anybody. Like, obviously she was fine because she came behind me and pantsed me. And it's not even the fact that she pants me in a public server. It's the fact that there's a huge group of guys walking by and she just had to do that. And I didn't even want to post that video because if we didn't crop the end, like, of course this little clout chaser wanted to post it. And the only reason she cropped out the end was so it wouldn't get taken down. Not even for my sake. So can you really blame me? Like, am I really in the wrong here? I think she put something in my eyelash serum. These are not my lashes. So yeah, pantsing me is one thing, in public is another thing, and in front of a bunch of guys that we know is like a million things. Like, that's just not okay. And now I have to redo my mascara, and I feel like this is somehow her fault too. And obviously I want to keep making dance videos for you guys, but it's like so hard when things like that are just gonna happen. So I guess we'll see if she takes it too far again, or maybe I'll have to take it too far because I do need my revenge for that. If you guys are on my side, comment on this video and the dance video whose side you're on so we can knock some sense into her. But yeah, I think that's it. There's probably some little details that I forgot to put in there, but yeah, bye guys, see you tomorrow.
Get ready with me while I tell you about more things that my strict parents have done, or just like rules around their house. So first thing is I'm not allowed to sit in any position where my crotch is kind of showing, even if I'm wearing pants, because honestly I try not to wear shorts around the house anymore just because of how my mom is. If I try to sit in a position where like my knees are like bent and my like thighs are like facing up, if that makes sense, my mom will immediately call me out and tell me to put my legs down because my brothers and my dad will look at my panocha. Next one is if I'm on a call with someone, like I'm calling my boyfriend, I have to hide it, or I have to go into a room where my parents aren't listening, because then they'll ask me who it is and then they'll tell me to hang up, even if it's like an important call. One time I was on a call with my college counselor and he was helping me choose my classes, and they were like, girl, like, why are you on the phone? Hang up on him, like, we don't know who he is. And I was like, he's deciding my future. He gets to decide if I get my degree or not. Hello, why would I hang up on him? I ended up having to inconvenience myself and walk outside of the house and like stand outside of the door and finish the call up there. Next one is I wasn't allowed to have any boys at my quince, whether they were friends or not. My chambelan was literally one of my cousins. I couldn't have like any court, like I didn't have any girls or guys on my court, which doesn't sound that bad, right? Because it's like, okay, maybe they just want to protect me from like any guys, you know. I was 15 at the time. No, girl, my sister had her quince and she was allowed to have a court of men and women. She literally had like 6 guys and 6 girls as her damas and chambelanes, and I wasn't even allowed to choose if I had a court or not. Next one is I'm not allowed to go to the doctor or like any like appointments by myself. So if I have a dentist or doctor's appointment, I have to ask one of my siblings or one of my parents to come with me. I haven't been able to go to the optometrist. I wear glasses. I'm literally blind in this eye because nobody wants to take me because they don't have time. And also, girl, I'm poor. Dude, I called Walmart the other day. I was like, how much would it cost to get frames, new lenses? You know, I already have the frames. I just need my prescription put in them. $180 because I'm fucking blind. Bitch, why do I have to pay to see? Next one is if I go out, even if it's to my job, and like let's say my mom picks me up. Sometimes it's my sibling and this doesn't happen, but when my mom picks me up, she'll ask me like, oh, how did you come here? And I have to say like, oh, I took the bus or something. I can't say I took a lift. I can't say any of that. And then when I say like, oh, I took the bus, she'll be like, okay, what buses did you take? And then I have to freaking tell her my whole route and like what stop I got off at. It's not that bad because I actually do take the bus sometimes. I feel like I keep saying like, oh, it's not that bad, but girl, it's just very, very, very annoying, and like it's such a tedious thing to do. Like I hate doing it. Next one is if I buy myself food, I have to buy everybody else food. So like if I buy food for myself, I have to get my little sister food, and it's not necessarily that bad. I feel like that's kind of like, you know, like respect, you know, in a way, because it's like, why am I gonna be eating in front of people when they don't have anything to eat? But if my parents go and get McDonald's, they don't get me shit. Also, for everybody asking, today I'm gonna use the Judy Doll single eyeshadow in the shade G01. That's gonna be my glitter for today. Okay, and the last rule is I'm not allowed to cry during arguments. The reasoning for that is I want to be a lawyer, so I'm not allowed to cry because lawyers don't cry. So if I'm arguing and I start crying, I get yelled at, I get sent to my room, I get told that I'm never going to succeed in the career path that I chose. I feel like that's kind of why I have such a hard time kind of acknowledging my emotions throughout, you know, this whole, I guess, process. I don't know how I feel because, girl, I try to push it down as much as possible because they genuinely make me feel like I'm not going to succeed sometimes. I don't know if this lip balm is going to be good. Okay, and lip combo is going to be Glossier Buff and ABH Lip Velvet and Peachy Nude. Low-key, I might make a video about this because I actually like how it turned out. Okay, that's all for today. Bye, guys.
Get ready with me while I tell you about how my little cousin became my little brother. So growing up, ever since I was literally born, I've always been very close with my aunt, which is my mom's sister. Well, my aunt had 2 kids. One of them is the one that is now my brother. So my aunt had 2 kids, and then my cousin's dad had passed away in his sleep, and right after that my aunt got super sick with cancer. So my uncle passed away, and then my aunt was super sick, and she actually beat cancer the first time, but then I don't really know the timeline, like a year or a couple years later, my aunt got cancer again. This time the cancer was a lot worse, and the doctors did tell us that it was terminal, but that she had a long time to live. Well, this time while my aunt had cancer, she was in a very abusive relationship and literally getting the crap beat out of her all the time. It was just a super toxic cycle that no one could really get her out of, and we had all tried. He had been to jail. She lived with us at one point. Every time, unfortunately, she just went back, and there was nothing we could do. Like, this guy that she was with was not good at all. Like, I vividly remember on my cousin's 16th birthday, him calling my sister a whore and throwing a chair at the back of her head and barely missing by an inch. So after that day, my mom made it a rule where if he was around, I was not allowed to see my aunt because my mom did not want us to get hurt or us to be around that, which was a very difficult time because, like I said, we had always been super close with my aunt, so it meant that if someone dangerous was around, we couldn't see her, which was understandable, but it still also sucked because then we couldn't see our aunt. I vividly remember there was one Christmas where my mom made an exception to this rule, and she actually let us go to our aunt's house, and she was like, this is the one time and we're just going to see how it goes. And I vividly remember getting screamed at by him telling me to move my legs because it was in front of the TV and he couldn't see it, and he screamed at me, so my sister screamed back and argued with him. My aunt then kicked him out of the house, and he kept trying to come back that night. So obviously then I was not allowed over there again because he was crazy.
Like a year or two after that, my aunt unfortunately ended up passing away. But before my aunt passed away, she used to always tell my mom that if anything happened to her, that she wanted my mom to have custody of her son, which at the time, I think he was like 6 or 7 because he's now 9. Which this was not a shock to anyone because ever since my little cousin was born, he was always at our house. Like my mom literally was the one who picked the name for him. Well, after my aunt passed away, the guy that would literally abuse my aunt all of a sudden wanted custody of my little cousin. He also used to tell my aunt all the time that those were her kids and they were not his kids and he wanted nothing to do with them. Which was true. They are not his kids. But the fact him saying that he wanted nothing to do with them and then my aunt passes away and he all of a sudden wants custody of my little cousin made no sense. So my mom did exactly what she was meant to do and she got lawyers and she fought him in court for I think a year, maybe over a year. Like it was a long time. And honestly, the court battle was freaking crazy, and since my aunt was no longer here, any evidence we had from her was hearsay. I don't know. Which after that, my mom did get majority custody, which still sucks that he has to go over there. But yeah, that is the story time on how my little cousin became my little brother, and it was one of the best things that has ever happened to me. And before y'all come for me, I know he's not my actual biological brother, but I do consider him my brother, and I would not want it any other way. It is the biggest blessing that has ever happened to me, and I'm so incredibly grateful. But yeah, that's my story time. Bye.